Presently, the voices coming against the acknowledgement of God in America appear to be increasing. A misconception, by the way, about the idea that God doesn't belong in America, that the government should be separate from the acknowledgement of God, is not true. By simply walking through the national capitol in Washington, D.C., and the monuments that are there, not only will we find the acknowledgement of God, but also the bold declaration of God within the lives of our earliest leaders is going to encourage you and inspire you. Truly, America is one nation under God. Check it out. Be sure to subscribe and press alert to get new notifications of new success secrets made available on VFN TV.
Well, we want to get started today in talking about our continuation conversation about this book written by Newt Gingrich, Rediscovering God in America. We've been talking about how in history, we have seen that they've taken God out of, school and prayer. Mm-hmm. They've taken 10 Commandments off of, the walls in the courtroom.
Right.
They've banned prayer and high school functions, whether it be a commencement, graduation. And you're just seeing this attack on the church. You're seeing this attack on God. I mean, they say that God's not allowed in the public square. So every time during the Christmas holiday where we celebrate the birth of Jesus, our Savior, in God we trust. Right. You know what I mean? They say that you can't have a nativity scene outside of these federal buildings because the separation between church and state, which is a whole completely different issue. Mm-hmm. But you can't have it. It's just unconstitutional. You just can't have it. And they make this big push. Well, you're going to find that as we are finding that that means there'll be a whole lot of monuments that would have to be scraped off of Washington, D.C., which is the District of Columbia. Did you know that?
I've heard of that somewhere.
Yeah, I heard of that. I heard that somewhere. Yeah, it's there. It's District of Columbia.
Is that where it's at?
Mm-hmm.
In America.
In America, yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, you're going to find out that the scripture is everywhere. Mm-hmm.
We're so excited about our new book, I Will Fight, Strategies for Your Success. You got to have a strategy and you got to fight. It's not about a physical fight, but you got to fight. And guess what? If you fight, you win. You'll be successful. This book is about transforming your thoughts, about what your beliefs, the decisions that you're making, about speaking. What you say is so powerful, and what you do, what you're saying, your actions you take. And quitting, don't quit. Listen, success and failure quite often is just 5 more minutes. And finally, think about this. So many people talk about you should do this and you should do this and you should do this. And look what they're doing. They're not doing nothing. You can't let people tell you you should do this. As a matter of fact, they can't be putting their should on you. This is so important. Listen, we want to bless you with your free copy of I Will Fight, Strategies for Your Success. You can get it at vfnkb.com. That's vfnkb.com. Get your free copy today.
So we're going to continue because we talked about the National Archives. By the way, when you walk into the National Archives, one of the first things you see are the 10 Commandments in bronze. How awesome is that?
Wow.
I mean, our laws are based off of the 10 Commandments, but we're gonna jump right into the second one, and that is the Washington Monument. This is what George Washington said. It is the duty of all nations to acknowledge the providence of Almighty God and to obey his will. First president. And we've talked a lot about George Washington. He was an amazing man.
Yes, he was. Mm-hmm.
He was an amazing general. And what he did with a ragtag, soldiers was amazing. And we hold a lot of gratitude for this man and his leadership, because this was the test. They wanted him to become president. And he didn't have to turn over this power.
Actually, they tried to make him king.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I don't think so.
So he settled to be president, and he let the transition of power occur, which was awesome. Mm-hmm. But we talked about how he swore when he took his oath, back in 1789. He had the book. He had the Bible turned open to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, which is the chapter of blessing and cursing, which is beautiful. Powerful. And we'll get a chance to make sure that that's related there for you. But after the oath was he said his oath, He said, "So help me God," and took the Bible and kissed it. This is George Washington, first inaugural, address. He took his oath, and this is what he said when he was sharing, our indebtedness to the Creator. He said, "No people can be bound to acknowledge and adore the invisible hand which conducts the affairs of men more than the people of the United States. Every step by which they have advanced to the character of an independent nation seems to have been distinguished by some token of providential agency." And this is a beautiful thing, because when you talk about the Washington Monument, I was surprised what I found out. This monument that's in, and we have a picture for you so that you can see. This was basically started, the construction of this monument was started back in 1848.
Wow.
1848, okay? It wasn't completed until 1884. 36 years.
Wow.
It took to and what happened is that they ran out of funding a lot. They just ran out of funding, and finally the government just stroked a check at that time for $2 million and basically got it done. But it took 36 years to get this thing completed, and they started designing it back, I believe, in 1733. So this was like a long process. Yeah, this was huge. And she's thinking, wow, that is absolutely amazing. But it took place, it happened. Actually, it was designed in 1783, not 33. Well, they finally got it done. And you'll be surprised to know that at the very top, December 6, 1884, it was actually completed. And it was the day that a capstone was placed on top of it. See the very tippy top. I was there. Actually, that's where I was at my small men's group for this Stand in the Gap in Washington D.C. when 1 million men went to
Down
pray.
at the bottom.
Yeah, I was there. See,
Way in the back.
yeah. See, it was. I guess God orchestrated that.
Yeah,
In the back. But I was there.
Because you were late.
Well, I was with my small men's group.
You were all late.
Yes, Pat, we were. But I was there. And actually, that was surrounded. There was had to be at least 30, 40,000 people right around the men at the Washington Monument. And it's a amazing structure. But at the very, very top of that structure, they placed an aluminum capstone. And on that capstone, on the east side, there are two words that are written there. Laos Deus, which means praise be to God.
Wow.
Who knew?
How about that?
Who knew that it said praise be to God at the very tippy top of, I believe, the highest monument in D.C. Praise be to God is on the capstone. And I thought that was absolutely awesome. Also, in the capstone, the cornerstone that was laid, there was some interesting things that were laid inside the capstone. One, there was a Bible that was inside the capstone, the cornerstone, which was from the Bible Society. They donated that alongside of a copy of the Declaration of Independence and the U.S. Constitution. Right there, right there inside the cornerstone. And when you walk inside the monument, the book continues to share that there is a plaque from the Free Press Methodist and Episcopal Church. There's also a prayer offered by Chinese Christians. Amazing.
Really?
Who would have thought that? And check this out, that there are carved tribute blocks in the Washington Monument that have these words inscribed in them. One of them has holiness to the Lord. Another one says, search the scriptures. Another one says, the memory of the righteous is blessed. It's all inscribed. May heaven to this union continue its benefits. In God we trust. Train a child up in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. All of these are just inscribed in the stones there. It's just beautiful. And it's like, who knew? Who knew? So this whole thing that God can't be in the public square and there's a separation, I don't think so. Look what we have in a monument dedicated to George Washington. And the author continues to write that there are reports that George Washington wasn't very outspoken about his Christian faith, and they quote his step granddaughter Nellie Custis as she wrote in Washington's biography. This is what she wrote: "It was his custom to retire to his library at 9 or 10 o'clock, where he remained an hour before he went to his chamber. He always rose before the sun and remained in his library until called to breakfast. I never witnessed his private devotions. I never inquired about them. I should have thought it the greatest heresy to doubt his firm belief in Christianity. His life, his writings prove that he was a Christian. He was not one of those who act or pray that they may be seen of men. He communed with his God in secret." Mm-hmm. And this was written by his step granddaughter, Nellie Custis. It was just pretty interesting to see that. And when you look at it, you think, wow, man, this is so amazing, because what you're seeing is a huge attack on the church. Is everything that you can see to separate the whole connection that our country was founded on Christian, principles, on the Word of God, on people coming out here to worship God freely, the Jews and the Christians. I mean, it was King Ferdinand who expelled the Jews out of Spain, and they came over looking, they helped fund Christopher Columbus' voyage to America to find them a place where they can worship. Many people don't know that. The Puritans came here looking for a place where they can serve God. And you may not know this, but it was George Washington, who also proclaimed the first national day of Thanksgiving in the United States. Okay, this was done in 1795, and he offered a proclamation of prayer and thanksgiving to the nation. Wow. And his entire I'm gonna read you his proclamation because it's amazing. But I want you to hear it because it's important. This is so good. Listen to this. When we review, actually, you know what? When we get right back from this break, we're going to share with you the proclamation, because you got to hear this. It's going to encourage you, because listen, we need to be thankful to God. You hear people say, "God bless America." Listen, God's already blessed America. It's time for America to bless God. We're talking about George Washington and the Washington Monument, and man, it's amazing. George Washington had the Bible open to the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28 when he took office. And Deuteronomy 28 verse 1 says, "If you will fully obey the Lord your God and carefully follow all his commands I give you today, the Lord your God will set you high above all the nations on earth." This was the foundation, the very first inaugural address, the very first president of the United States. And this is what he does. And after that, he kisses the Bible. And he says, "So help me God." And that's what we need. We need God again.
That's right.
In our nation. And we need to just, say, we want to turn from these ways and say, God, we want the blessing of the Lord to remain on our land. And this is what George Washington proclaimed on the very first day of Thanksgiving in the United States in 1795. He gave this proclamation. I want to read it to you, because it's so powerful. He says, "When we review the calamities which afflict so many other nations, the present condition of the United States affords much matter of consolation and satisfaction. Our exemption hitherto from foreign war, an increasing prospect of the continuance of that exemption, the great degree of internal tranquility we have enjoyed, the recent confirmation of that tranquility by the suppression of an insurrection which so wantonly threatened it, and the happy course of public affairs in general, the unexampled prosperity of all classes of our citizens, are circumstances which peculiarly mark our situation with indications of the divine benefits toward us. In such a state of things, it is in a special manner our duty as a people, with devout reverence and affectionate gratitude, to acknowledge our many and great obligations to Almighty God, and to implore him to continue and confirm the blessings we experience. Deeply penetrated with this sentiment, I, George Washington, the President of the United States, do recommend to all religious societies and denominations, and to all persons whomsoever within the United States, to set apart and observe Thursday, the 19th day of February, next, as a day of public thanksgiving and prayer. And on that day to meet together and render their sincere and hearty thanks to the great ruler of nations for the manifold and signal mercies which distinguish our lot as a nation, particularly for the possession of the constitution of government, which unite and by their union establish liberty with order, for the preservation of our peace, foreign and domestic, for the seasonable control which has been given to a spirit of disorder in the suppression of the late insurrection, and generally for a prosperous course of our affairs, public and private, and at the same time humbly and fervently to beseech the kind author of these blessings graciously to prolong them to us, to imprint on our hearts a deep and solemn sense of obligations to him for them, to teach us rightly to estimate the immense value, to preserve us from the arrogance of prosperity and from hazarding the advantages we enjoy by delusive pursuits, to dispose us to merit the continuance of his favor, not by abusing them, by our gratitude for them, and by a correspondent conduct as citizens and men to render this country more and more safe and a perpetuous asylum for the unfortunate of other countries, to extend among us true and useful knowledge, to diffuse and establish habits of sobriety, order, morality, and piety, and finally, to impart all the blessings we possess or ask for ourselves to the whole of mankind. This is George Washington's proclamation for the first day of Thanksgiving and prayer. And you think about Thanksgiving today, for many of us at church, it's exactly what we do. It's a time for us to, it's my favorite holiday. I mean, one of my favorite holidays. So I love Christmas and remembering Jesus, but right there with it is Thanksgiving, because it really, it's a wonderful time to reflect and to thank the Lord for everything that he has done and what he has provided for us, and all the many blessings that we enjoy. And it's a beautiful thing. And we celebrate it with a huge meal, and we leave stuffed. And we had to explain this Thanksgiving celebration that we have in the United States to someone from another country, and they were like, interesting. Remember that conversation. But this is a wonderful time. We have something we want you to see, because at the same time, you know, if you remember, not too long ago, there was an earthquake that happened in Virginia that actually was felt all the way from Virginia, all the way. I felt it in New Jersey in my building. I had to evacuate at the time. But you will see that the Washington Monument actually suffered some damage. We want you to see inside the Washington Monument and what has occurred since then. Watch this.
It is 100,000 tons of solid rock, the anchor of the nation's capital, massive and unshakable until 1:51 p.m. on August 23, 2011. A 5.8 magnitude earthquake in nearby Virginia literally shifted the Washington Monument. Dozens of tourists were caught at the top. As stones cracked and crumbled, the building held strong. Everyone made it out safely. But as Interior Secretary Sally Jewell and Park Service Director John Jarvis explained, the damage was severe.
Most of the damage
was near
the
top.
top.
At the top, obviously, because it magnified as it went up.
There's one little spot where the monument just shifted a little bit, a half inch or 5/8 of an inch, as the whole thing above it just...
Park police immediately surveyed the monument by air and discovered multiple dislodged stones and cracks, one 4 feet long. They brought in engineers who rappelled from the top for an even closer look. Their findings triggered a massive restoration project that's lasted nearly 3 years. And for the first time, with repairs now complete, the Park Service took us inside Washington's most iconic landmark.
So you obviously are not afraid of heights.
555 feet, 55 stories to the top. Today, the debris is gone. Cracks are filled, joints reinforced.
And so that is typical, as you see, the forces that were on the stone. So a lot of the stone repairs are pretty subtle, and the public won't really be able to pick them up unless they're specifically looking for them.
The repairs were done with a sense of purpose. The monument is a powerful symbol of democracy.
The March on Washington.
It's had a role in almost every historic event in Washington, from the struggle for civil rights to protests over Vietnam to the inauguration of President Obama. And inside at the top, you can see the very structure of government.
So you can get an iconic view, whether it's Arlington Cemetery or the White House or the Lincoln Memorial or the Capitol. So it's all of those views.
Views that come with daunting challenges when you're in a one-of-a-kind building. You can't access the monument from any given floor, so crews had to build special scaffolding complete with an elevator.
We were up here on the scaffolding with the workers. They were learning along with the Park Service on what techniques would work to repair this. What could we do that wouldn't damage the stone?
But the biggest challenge was money. The Park Service needed help, and billionaire investor David Rubenstein gave it.
The federal government can't really do what it used to be able to do.
Rubenstein donated $7.5 million, half of the project's cost, to get the work done and done right.
I've tried to call what I've done patriotic philanthropy, which is to say, try to give back to your country in any way you can, and that's part of what I tried to do with the Washington Monument.
Thank you, Mr. Rubenstein.
How about that?
My goodness, an investment into getting the Washington Monument back. Very interesting.
He wouldn't have to be Jewish, would he?
Well, hey, Rubenstein, could be. Very, very interesting. And it's amazing how good, God is and how things kind of work together. But also, maybe it's a prophetic picture of the foundation of America being put back together again and looking forward to the day of a third great awakening. We have ways to go. I mean, we have to acknowledge that we have left as a nation God and we left his ways, but there's still hope for America. There's still hope for America. We can turn, and it starts with the church. It starts with you and me. If my people who are called by his name, right, will humble themselves and pray and turn from our wicked ways, then what? God will hear us and heal our land. And I'm going to tell you, we can have a third great awakening again, and God can restore America so that she can continue to be, right, the city on the hill and continue to reach multitudes for him as we have launched so many missionaries all around the world from this land. Let's do it. Let's turn back to God.
Be sure to subscribe and press alert to get new notifications of new success secrets made available on VFN TV.
A lot of people want to abide with the Lord, but they just don't have a plan to do it. You can request that plan today at iabide.org.
I'm your host, Greg Lancaster, and we're so glad that you've joined us. Don't forget you can join us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Download our app and sign up for our newsletter, The Torch, at vfnkb.com. I've enjoyed our time together. God bless.